Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect, Double Speed, Magic the Gathering, and Bailey is not on Miracles. You can go ahead and ignore that header. That is always my best guess as to what my opponent's on, and it turns out he is on Delver. So we'll see how bad of a miscalculation that was on my end. I'm on Storm, and playing versus Miracles, a very different animal than playing against Delver. The counter suite is different. The time that you have is potentially similar, but just for very different reasons. Versus Miracles, there's inevitability. The longer the game goes on, cards like Search can kind of bury you in card advantage. Whereas Delver, they're actually limiting the number of turns that can happen by attacking your life total. Brainstorm here with a fetch land. And Stifle on the fetch. Stifle, a card to be respected in this matchup. It will stop the Storm trigger of Tendrils of Agony and Empty the Warrens. So it is a very powerful counter to your finishers, as well as stopping your mana base from developing. Ponder here. This is going to draw a Daze. So far, pulling some counters out of Bailey's hands for relatively minor effects. Lotus Petal coming down. Storm is 3 now, and this could signal that the shields are down. Let's see what happens. A Dark Ritual, another Lotus Petal. Storm is 4. Another Dark Ritual. This is starting to get fairly dicey here. Dark Ritual Duress. And that's going to show Force and Spell Snare. Spell Snare goes to the graveyard here. Storm is 5. Preordaining. Seeing Tendrils of Agony, not quite lethal yet. Pretty close. Land for turn. Storm 7. A Ball Ritual. And Infernal Tutor, Storm 8, and that's going to be Xaxes. 18 damage there through Daze and Stifle. Difficult to know what you should be using those Stifles and Dazes on. Daze did get full value on that Ponder. It did counter it 1 for 1. But in the end there had exactly lethal mana. Also would have been another blue card to enable Force of Will. So there were some very meaningful decisions there. Of course, Storm, one of the most difficult decks to play against. It's one of the hardest decks to play in the format, but it really should not be discounted how difficult it is to play well against Storm. It is definitely a deck that I recommend people at least sleeve up for a few tournaments just to try and get a good grasp of the lines that it uses. If you're able to win with Storm, you'll likely be able to play against it much more effectively. There we see Stifle and Daze kind of trying to, I guess, stifle the development of Storm. But Storm able to blitz past when the shields were down with a flurry of Dark Rituals. And Delver this time starting out with Nimble Mongoose. Ponder on the other side for Storm. Now Mongoose, one of the weaker threats here for Rug Delver. It's going to take a while to come online. And the Shroud is largely irrelevant. Goyf also pretty small right now. He is 2 power. Of course, both Mongoose and Tarmogoyf improve their stat line along the lines of a control deck. The longer the game goes, the more powerful those threats become. The more interaction that you can force, they get that type of bonus. Goyf very often going to be a 4/5 in this matchup. Instant sorcery, land, and occasionally artifact from the Storm player. It is also possible for creatures to land in the bin. No enchantments or planeswalkers in sight, however. Building a mana base here. Duress. Looks like Storm has a lot of powerful plays here. We got Force, Spell Snare, and 2 Dazes. A lot to play through. Spell Snare is a 1-for-1, and a lot of the lines play through both Cabal, Ritual, and Infernal Tutor. So that one definitely has to go. Now, Force and Double Daze still need to be handled. Starting out with a Brainstorm here. Couple of fetches. Bailey's Graveyard could go up to 6 cards if he commits to a Double Daze on something. He's got the fetch land as well, and it looks like a couple of basics. And gonna fire off an Infernal, just with the intention of getting some duplicate cards here. Lotus Petal is an option. But Daze is just going to get hard cast here. Multiple Infernals are a bit clunky, and I believe that's what we see there. Having to get them out of hand, down to just 4. And it is all or nothing right now. Drew another Infernal for turn, is that correct? That is no bueno. Thoughtseize. Really hoping that he hasn't drawn other blue cards. It would be great to be able to grab the Daze and just leave him stranded with a Force in hand. But that is unlikely. Another Delver. So Force and a Singleton Daze to play around. Lotus Petal. Lion's Eye Diamond. Storm is 4. Infernal Tutor cracking LED. Interesting. Probably a suboptimal line there. It looks to me like Infernal Tutor could have been used to go get a Lion's Eye Diamond. Well, actually, Bailey could have broken that up with the Daze. So my thought process there is it is possible for your opponent to misplay if you grab another Lion's Eye Diamond, then you could play it, and then if they daze that, you're actually in bad shape. If they attempt to daze the Infernal Tutor, you'd have 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds, and you could pay the extra mana for the daze. So it really depends on exactly how well your opponent understands the scenario. As it turns out, able to only get 10 goblins down here at 1 life. Wasteland coming in on that Volcanic. And we did see a Delver in hand, so this is a grim situation. Delver likely to come down and eventually flip to close this thing out. Gonna go ahead and trade off these goblins to just mop up this board. Leaving 4 goblins left. Preordain into Ponder and Lotus Petal. Ponder into Dark Rituals and Duresses. That's not really where we need to be. Gonna swing with 3 guys. No flip on Delver. That is good news. It's a Wasteland. 3 more coming in. 4 more turns of this, but Flusterstorm finally shows up, flipping that Delver. and forcing the game 3. So perhaps a missed opportunity there with the double Infernal, discarding the Infernal Tutor to the Lion's Eye Diamond. Difficult to say. I believe the line that was taken was the safest. Infernal for Lotus Petal would have been negative mana. Really was just Lion's Eye Diamond that I can see from here. Having only Lotus Petal and Lion's Eye Diamond to choose from, obviously another Infernal Tutor is not going to help the situation. My only criticism, I guess one of my only criticisms of the card is they tend to be rather poor in multiples. Thoughtseize starting out, again seeing a fistful of removal, those dazes hanging out together, really clumping up. But there's no islands down yet. And Brainstorm being taken, leaving Stifle and 2 dazes in hand. We're going to have to play around those. Nimble Mongoose swinging in. And the chipping away has begun. Another Wasteland on Rug's side. But drawing a basic island like a champion. What a savage. Preordain here. Showing Duress and Thoughtseize. Could take the long way around here with getting rid of discard spells. And I think you have to fire off the Duress here. It's going to take the days. Either way. Oh, and passing. I don't like that play. Especially leaving Thoughtseize on top. You're basically looking to trade 1 for 1. We'll see how this plays out. The rest fired off here. Daze no longer able to stop it, but a Spell Pierce comes down, and there's a Preordain. That does not get dazed. Sitting at Ad Nauseam in hand. Top, bottom, and a Lion's Eye Diamond taken. Tarmogoyf now, adding a significantly faster clock. 1 damage per turn, totally doable. Now that we're talking 4, we are most likely looking at a 3, maybe 4 turn clock. Fetch land, any type of burn. There's a lot of things that can push this into 3 turn territory. Dark Ritual leading out here into a Thoughtseize. 2 black floating. And I don't remember the name of that one. It's 1 blue, it counters it. Counters a sorcery, and if he has all the different types, 4 different types in his graveyard, go ahead and let me know in the comments what that one is. But it's 1 blue and potentially does a mini surgical extraction of sorts, or cranial extraction if you go back a bit farther like I do, to remove the excess copies from their hand and graveyard and library, I believe. That mode not triggered, it was just a 1 mana sorcery to counter 1 mana counter a sorcery this time around. And it looks pretty bad here. Dark Ritual, Daze, Storm of 6, another Daze, so no mana now. Storm of 7. It looks like this could have been played better. Some powerful cards left in hand, and all of those resources wasted. Still very much not liking that decision not to duress so many turns ago. Lion's Eye Diamond here, fetching. Fetching again. A bunch of basics plus that volcanic. I mean, I think we're looking at an empty the warrens for just 4 goblins here. That is really just going to try and buy some time. Now, Infernal Tutor and Ad Nauseam in hand. Those are very powerful cards, but Ad Nauseam not going to be great when you're only at 5 life. Sometimes you do have to take that gamble. Past in Flames really the draw that needs to happen. So can this empty the warrens buy the 2 turns to try and set up, maybe get another ritual effect, maybe a discard spell, and it looks like force 1 copy, stifle the trigger, and that is it. Rug Delver taking down Storm in 3.
That's all for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please help grow the channel by subscribing. You'll be notified when we upload new videos like Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic with commentary, or Untapped, our raw tournament gameplay. Thanks for watching.